The special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show, and the Rainstorm Radio Show with our host, Michael Aguas. Michael, today we're going to tackle, okay, now because of your great tax strategies, we are not going to pay as much in taxes. Well, where do we go with that money? What do we do with it now? Okay, it's great that we aren't paying as much in taxes, but where is this money going next?
So this is a very important question because yes, we're always applying great tax strategies for our clients, but that's really not the main goal. The main goal really is okay, there's a reason why we're doing this. And I want to share with you today what some of those reasons are, the biggest reasons. It's always good to understand why are we doing what we're doing?
Okay.
All the tax strategy, great. Okay, good. So what are you going to do with the money? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, right? So again, I'll use an example. If you're, if you're in California and you're in a high earner, if you're at the highest tax bracket, listen closely. You're going to have to work from January 1 all the way through June 17 just to cover your federal and your state taxes. Think about that. We're not yet there. So, think you'll have to work another month and a half to cover just your taxes. And then the rest of the year, you get to keep the money. That is painful for a lot of people, and especially the highest earners who usually are the hardest workers. That's just the way it is. So now we're able to get them back significant amounts of money through our tax saving strategies. What is it that they're using the money for, right? These are some of the reasons. And again, it is good for our clients to remember, why are we going through this? Why are we sitting down learning these strategies that we never heard of before? And here's the reason why. The number one reason that we find with the high taxpayer is that when we bring them back their tax savings, this becomes capital for their business. Most people are thinking, I got to squeeze my margins. I have to manage my margins for my business because it's very sensitive. And that's true. We are definitely big fans of that. But what is your biggest expense? Most people forget that it's the taxes that you pay. This will allow you to manage your margins well. And now you've got more capital for your company, right? Think about that. Imagine your Spirit Airlines. What is it, 15,000 unemployed, right? If they had
Right.
more capital, that would have been a little bit easier, but it's always been a big struggle for them. So, number one, it's more capital for your company. Secondly, this is real wealth. In many cases, we're bringing back multiple six figures to our clients annually. So if I say, Neil, now you're getting back $400,000 net that you once paid the IRS. Now it's back in your hands, and we're able to do this annually. What are you doing with it? And for many of our clients, they're using it to buy more investments, whether it's investments in other businesses, investments in, managed money type products, TAMPs, etc. Other people will use it to buy, to build a crypto portfolio. Um, they're all over the place. But the point is, you now have capital for investments outside of your main expertise. So buying investments, and yes, some of that is risk, but guess what? Before we met, that was money going to the IRS, and none of that was coming back. Now you have the opportunity to build an asset base, diversify your assets. That's another big thing when it comes to investments. You're able to diversify. Maybe your entire wealth is tied up in your construction company. Great. But now you have the opportunity to invest outside of the world of construction and continue building your wealth. So very, very important for our clients is that they now have the money back so they can control it. Investments are the other are the other area where it goes. And then I think my favorite is this. Most people don't know that when you look at financial instruments available to all of us, which do you think enjoys the best tax treatment out of them all?
I don't know.
Cash value life insurance. I want
Wow.
you to think about that. Let's break it down. Cash value life insurance is growing cash every year, whether you're talking about universal type life policies or whole life. Every year, you have the opportunity to build cash on over and above the premiums you've put in. All
Wow.
right. So that cash is growing. This is very important. Tax deferred. It's really, I mean, in reality, for many people, it grows tax free, but the actual term we use is tax deferred. All right. And just like a lot of the retirement plans you see out there, it grows tax deferred. There is no taxation while it's growing. That's a big, big change for a lot. It's a big thing for a lot of people. Okay. And it is amazing how quickly you could build cash value in your life policies. I know someone who built probably, I know someone who built over a $50 million real estate empire using cash value of life insurance. Think about that. They didn't have to go to a bank. They had the cash value of life insurance because they kept funding it every year with tax savings. So it's growing tax deferred, and it basically, when upon death, it's paid out income tax free to the beneficiaries. So, you know, it's good to remind people, what is life insurance really for, right? So, number one, it's a replacement of economic loss. You've got a breadwinner making 150, 200, 100,000, put in a number. If that breadwinner passes, how are you going to replace that income? And if you don't have an answer for that, you're very vulnerable. So life insurance potentially replaces that income that is lost, economic loss. Okay, that's the first, and really for many people, that is the most important reason. Okay, replacement of lost income. Second is legacy. Some people have estates that are going to get taxed because they've crossed the threshold. Great, congratulations. But without a plan, the estate tax is what, 55%? Right? When you look at people like more recently, like James Gandolfini, or before him, Elvis Presley, well-known celebrities, built, amassed real nice fortunes, but without an estate plan, what happened? They forfeited much of that to the government because of lack of planning. Life insurance could have been a huge solution here, along with obviously a proper estate plan. So it helps with legacy. Now, for me, my favorite thing is the fact that imagine taking your tax savings and using a significant portion of it to build future tax-free income. Most people don't know when they think of tax-free income, they're thinking municipal bonds, Roth IRAs, and that would be accurate. But there's another source, life insurance. You can borrow from your life insurance policy's cash value, and you could do that income tax free because when you borrow money, it is income tax free.
Mm.
All right. And then there is no amortization necessary while you're alive. You don't have to pay it back monthly if you don't want to. It is taken out. The repayment of the loan is taken out from the death benefit. So it is good to remember what we're doing this for. Most importantly, we want to get you back your hard-earned money. All right. People work too hard to pay that much in tax. And while you are responsible to pay the tax that you owe, most people don't owe as much as they're paying. I'm going to repeat that again. Most people don't owe as much tax as they're actually paying. They could pay significantly less with the proper strategies. And now you could use the money for the reasons we discussed. Capital back into your business, invest in your employees, like we discussed in previous sessions, invest outside of your business, right? Diversify your portfolio and use it for life insurance, cash value life insurance for in case they need to replace your lost economic value, or you need to create a legacy, or you want to just retire with tax-free income. That could be very significant. So these are the reasons why we do what we do for our clients.
It's impressive when you talk about this. So basically, part of the strategy is that whatever you're owing in taxes, instead of paying the federal government, you can put that into cash value life insurance. And
That's
that
it.
means that you still can borrow against that. So
Absolutely.
this is strategy for the business owner. But then what if you're buying multiple policies for other people? You're basically, again, for each one of your employees, that's helping you in tax for that year, but you
There
can't
you
borrow
go.
from that. You only can borrow from the one policy.
You could borrow from other policies, but yeah, you know, and again, this is most people don't know how valuable a properly designed life policy can be. Unfortunately, there are too many people with a bias. The second you sell life insurance, or the second you mention life insurance, they're turned off because they don't understand the value of it. In their mind, it's like, I'm wasting money paying into something that may never pay off. They're going to bring up the fact that most life insurance policies don't pay a death benefit.
Right.
And that's true, but it doesn't mean it has no value. You still have to answer the question, what happens if the main breadwinner in that family passes? What is your best solution? So let's say we don't use a life insurance policy. How do we replace her income, his income? Can you tell me?
Yeah.
You know,
No, you can't. You're not going to be
you
able to do
can't.
that. So you need that. Yeah.
Right. They have to get past their own bias because when you look at it, there is value here. Again, it's got to be properly designed.
So interesting stuff. So basically, where what you do next with it, investing in cash value life insurance, you have other tax strategies as well to make sure that you're not paying as much in tax. I think people have to understand one thing: we're saving you money in taxes, but you're going to have to invest in other things. I think sometimes people say, "Oh, I just want to have to pay tax." There's a magic wand. No, there are going to be things you have to pay. That money will be reinvested in
Put
your
to use.
business and put to use. But ultimately, so that is that another strategy you look at, Michael, as well as if you're like in Q2 to invest in hiring a key employee to decrease your tax if you know you're in a specific area, kind of looking at things earlier in that
It's
process.
all on the table. And the answer is yes, it could be used for these reasons. So, that's why, fortunately, more and more people are learning about us and they're planning earlier in the year. So, to your point, so that they could get more benefit throughout the year for this.
Because if you're tracking for this number and you know what you're going to owe, you better start investing it quickly in multiple
Yes.
ways. And I
Yes.
guess investing in more marketing at this time of year is a great way to do that, or something else, or investing in other things long term, depending on
Yes.
what your true need is. And you'll be able to cover that to pay those tax bills,
Yes.
at the end of the day. Because I'm sure we could have a story in our podcast how many extend, right?
Oh,
Over and
most
over.
most of our clients did. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have multiple years sometimes to deal with.
Yes.
Yes.
Some people
Yeah.
have not filed for years. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother meeting.
Could you have a good podcast on that one? Not filing for years
Maybe.
or you're dead?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. That's something where I'd like a guest to really talk about, hey, listen, here's why you want to consider doing this soon.
Yeah. Because you better, because you don't want the IRS coming knocking
And
at your
they'll
door.
come, right? Some people will, I've heard somebody say this. This is not my saying. I can kind of relate to it. The IRS isn't dumb. They might be slow, but they're not dumb.
Not at all. Okay. So if you're interested in all this information, you want to contact Michael and schedule a call with him, go to rainstormmediagroup.com, or you can DM me or Michael, and make sure you like and share and subscribe to the podcast. Appreciate it, Michael.
Thank you.
That was a special simulcast